Oh, come on. Are you serious? Oh, come on. Are you serious? Come on, man. It is crickets. I agree. Give me a second to coordinate here, boys. Is my image frozen or is it just me? There we go. Yeah? Ooh, all kinds of technological problems. Sorry about that. Okay. Man, it's time for a new laptop. Or a couple of new laptops. I'm not sure. Ooh, we got nighttime filter on. Hold on a second. There we go. Whoa. Blue light. That's bright. There we go. That's a doable amount of light. I don't know what that means, Snakes, but it's got to be good. Okay. All right. Close this bad boy down. Gonna be smoking some Meridian this evening. Who's Mountain Metling? He must be in the YTPC. I just got a notification. So yeah, gonna do a bowl of Meridian. I think, I'll be honest, I think that I might be warming up to English blends just a little bit this. I am not having a difficult time smoking Meridian. I'm not having a difficult time smoking what's the other blend you guys keep raving about? Meridian and Quiet Nights. So I've smoked. I'll put it this way. Those bowls are sneaking into my rotation. As long as I don't focus on them, if I just have an occasional bowl of Meridian and Quiet Nights, it's not quite as offensive as it used to be. So I think that I too might rejoin the club of an English appreciator. It's gonna take several months, but I got my training wheels on. The training wheels are here, and I'm getting back on the bike, so to speak. very carefully, one step at a time. Baby steps. Baby steps. Because if you overdo it, there's no turning back. So I gotta monitor my intake of English. Next Jaro, welcome. Tried an amazing blend recently. Wessex Brown. Well, as soon as you said Wessex, I'm already sold. It must be amazing. Wessex Brown Virginia Flake. Have you tried it before? The only Wessex I've tried, excluding Wessex Burley Flake, was going back 3 years, and I tried about 3 or 4 different Wessex blend. I'm not sure if I had that one, but I was a fan of almost all of them. I have a excuse me. I do have a soft place in my heart for. Let me get a pipe tamper here. I do have a soft place in my heart for this Meridian now. The Meridian is, I guess I would call it highly approachable. A highly approachable English / Balkan blend. That retrohale is nice. Very nice. I was watching a documentary on cricket. Not really big into sports, but cricket is one of those unusual sports that I feel like I want to learn more about. It seems insane, highly unusual, highly complex, but also growing in popularity. There was a Netflix special on cricket. So I was watching that earlier. That's what spawned the idea of this hangout. But I'm assuming no cricket experts will be here this evening. But with that said, I'm sure everyone's at least seen a little clip on YouTube about cricket. It's a crazy sport, man. I'm not big into baseball. It's a variation of baseball. But I think I would probably enjoy a cricket match more than a baseball game, if they had them here in America. That's my non-tobacco topic for this evening. Cobbs, welcome. Probably want to wait a while to try Balkan Sassini. My favorite English, very robust. Yeah, you lost me at the word robust. I don't want robustness. I want, which is very strange. When it comes to coffee, I want robust. I want thickness. I want boldness. I want kapow factor. When it comes to English, I want subtle, easy, subdued, nuanced. Training wheels. When you're a kid and you go to a pool, you get the floaties on both arms so you don't drown. I almost need English floaties, or I want English floaties. Smoking pipes should probably sell those. That'd be a whole new revenue stream for them. English floaties, English training wheels. Georgia, welcome, brother. I don't find Quiet Night subdued, but well, Georgia, I'm not talking about Quiet Nights this evening. I'm talking about GLP, its close cousin. I'm talking about GLP's Meridian. I agree. Quiet Night's a little more challenging for me personally. Meridian, piece of cake. I can take off. I got like one training wheel on right now, but I still need at least one training wheel on at all times when I'm smoking this. But it's a more enjoyable blend than Quiet Nights so far. Later on in the spring, it's quite possible that I may become a Quiet Nights believer. But with that said, Quiet Nights is still highly doable for me, which is also surprising. Because it's not offensive. It's not that Quiet Nights, from the few bowls that I've had, it's not that super dry, tumbleweed, arid, wintergreen English vibe that I've gotten from, for example, Pirate Cake. It's obvious what I like about Meridian, though. It's because it has more Oriental in it. I'm an Oriental fiend. But this is a good mix. It's a very good mix. That retrohale is really refined, nuanced. Not over the top. If you love pot pies, you'll love shepherd's pie. I only bought Quiet Nights because I was peer pressured into it. With that said, when I look back across the entire year of 2018, I would say, talking about peer pressure from this channel, the only thing I truly regret is I was peer pressured into buying Jackknife Ready Rub. Everything else that people have recommended from these hangouts, I'm going to say 75% to 80% have been good, interesting, mind expanding. Jackknife Ready Rub, that was a dirty trick. Good thing I only bought 8 ounces of it and then gave away about 7.5 ounces. Good for mixing, not good for smoking. Everybody likes a little Dark Fire Kentucky, but you can't smoke that stuff straight. Next Jaro, Country Squire. I've not ordered from Country Squire since I've been there. I went there back. I have a video about that when I went to Texas. I stopped by and saw those guys, but I have not ordered anything from them since. Georgia, I used to smoke English exclusively, but nowadays I'm a Virginia man. English is a rare craving. Same way, brother. Same experience. In that, when I first started smoking a pipe, I went heavy English in the first couple months. Bought tons of Balkan Supreme, tons of Larry's Blend. And then I never want to touch English again. So 5 years later, I got the training wheels back on. We'll call it Physical therapy. Physical tobacco therapy. This Meridian, though, and I've had it before. This Meridian it's fantastic. It really rides that fine line between too much and just enough English. It's better than Larry's blend, in my opinion. It's more satisfying than Dunhill's early morning. More complex than Balkan Supreme by Stokkebye. Just right. Just right. Very nice. Cobbs and Briars, GLP's Meridian. Most people would call it the close cousin to Quiet Nights. Look it up at fine retailers near you. Cobbs, I threw that out there on a whim. To be honest, I've only ordered 1 2-ounce tin of Dunhill's early morning pipe in my life. But I was a big fan of Cornell and Deal's match of EMP, which was called Good Morning. So I feel like I know roughly what Dunhill EMP is. But in the Cornell and Deal match of that, again, called Early Morning, is good. But this is way more up my alley. A deeply satisfying blend. I'll let the other guys try to describe it because they can do it better than I can. Who here has had Meridian? I don't think Snakes has had it, although maybe he has. He smoked a lot of stuff. Snakes, the Sans Pellegrino. Sans Sepulcro. Still highly memorable. I don't know why I didn't stock 5 pounds of that stuff as opposed to the stuff that I bought. I still have memories of the Esoterica stuff you sent me. That was hard to describe. To be honest, though, thank you for sending that to me, by the way. But it reconfirmed the next day, not in the bowl, not moments after the bowl, but the next day and the next day after that. I do think that Esoterica is a little too refined for my palate. I think I would take it for granted. And ultimately not get what I want out of it. But as a vacation from other tobaccos, I think the Esoterica stuff is cream of the crop. Maybe once a month as a little escape. Gojo, welcome. Mr. Kimba, I saw a movie and I thought you were going to ask me a question. Thunderbolt and Lightfoot is on Netflix, my man. Just finished watching it for the 300th time. It can't be that good, man. Come on. Mr. Kimba, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, Rotten Tomatoes score. I'm going to go. Well, you're a big fan. I'll do 70, 76%. Georgia, San Sepulchro made me realize how much I like Red Virginia. Hopefully, Cigar Leaf too. Now to fill the gap, Interlude and Fillmore are my main favorite. Interlude, interesting. Well, I just bought Fillmore, so I now have 8 ounces of Fillmore. Interlude went under dramatic changes in the last couple of years. Interlude 3 years ago is not the same thing as Interlude today. But I used to be a big fan of Interlude back in the day. When I ordered Interlude last summer, it was, let me think of the right words here. Interlude was a challenging blend to smoke. Rough, in my opinion, in 2018. But that's just my 2 cents. Gojo. Yes, I'm smoking Meridian. GLP's Meridian. Loving it. Oh, 87. It can't be that good, man. How have I never seen this movie? Gojo, when I ordered Interlude back in 2015, 2016, I loved it so much, I bought a few tins and gifted it to people. And when I ordered it last year, it was much more Red Virginia. I didn't get any honey. It seemed like a completely different blend, in my opinion. But for those of you who just discovered it in the last year, it doesn't matter what it used to be. It only matters what it is now. But and again, I had a single 2-ounce tin last summer. There's a lot of variability to this stuff, so don't take my words too seriously. I would like to. I should probably reorder Interlude at some point in time and figure out what it's like now in 2019. But I had a lot of good things to say about it back in the day. Hopefully, it does have that noticeable honey topping. Long story short, Interlude to me seemed like a slightly honey-topped version of Sunday Picnic back in the day. And last summer, it seemed like 5 o'clock shadow. Maybe I got a bad tin. I'm not sure. But if you do like Interlude, I forgot who bought Interlude. Buy some 5 o'clock shadow, or sorry, buy some Sunday Picnic. I think you will be pleasantly surprised. Scott, are you going to be at the Raleigh Pipe Expo in a few weeks? Yeah, I'll put on my calendar. It's about just a few miles away. I've went every year so far, but it's on a Saturday. I just got to make sure it's on my calendar so I don't forget about it. Great question. Contemplative. Favorite war movies? I'm going to go deep on this one. I love war movies. Downfall. It's made about 15 years ago. It's a World War II movie reenacting Hitler's last 3 or 4 or 5 days. I've seen Downfall. It's a German movie, so it's subtitled. There's a lot of memes and whatnot about it, but Downfall is incredible. I've seen Downfall at least 5 times all the way through. When you turn Downfall on, you can't turn it off. It's just Bruno whoever the German actor is, does such a great job at embodying Hitler. It's just you can't take your eyes off of it. The other one, contemplative, is David Arquette was in this World War II movie with Harvey Keitel in the early 2000s called A Gray something. And I've seen that at least 3 times. That is really dark, but I love that movie. I'm gonna find the name. The Gray Zone, 2001. If you've never seen The Gray Zone, I'll put the link here for you movie buffs. That's a great movie. I love Enemy at the Gates. I've seen Enemy at the Gates at least 5 times as well. Let me keep going here. I watched Hamburger Hill a couple weeks ago. That didn't have quite as much staying power. This is another one. Tigerland was a small film, but from a big director, and it was the breakout role of that Irish actor who who blew up in the early 2000s. But Tigerland is a good film as well. It's about the Vietnam War, a recruit that kind of went rogue. Joel Schumacher directed that, but it was a small film, small budget. I'm going to keep going on this because now he's got me talking about war movies. I've seen Tora 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 at least 2 or 3 times. I like that one. Oh, World War I movie with World War I movie. Michael Douglas's father. Michael Douglas's father, Kurt Douglas, was in a World War I movie. Somebody help me out here. It's got the word glory in it, I thought. Let me plug my computer in here. If I can find the cord. Paths of Glory. Nextario, thank you. Paths of Glory, fantastic film. I'm going to keep on this topic now because now I'm revved up. Paths of Glory, fantastic film, stands up even today. I saw it as recently as like 6 months ago. It's black and white, late 50s, early 60s, maybe. Timeless. And then last, Return of the Jedi is not a war movie. Last but not least, and I'll end on this. One of the best and probably least seen war movies is Breaker Morant. It's relatively obscure. It's early 1980s. It's about the Australians in South Africa. If you go on YouTube and Google Breaker Morant, it's going to highlight all the best scenes. So don't spoil it for yourselves. But Breaker Morant, the first 20 minutes of that film are very powerful. For those of you in America, the guy who ended up playing the Equalizer in the 1980s, it was a TV series. He's in that. But there's a lot of great courtroom scenes in Breaking Morant. Welcome, Amir. In fact, I'm going to look up the I'm going to look up Rotten Tomatoes on Breaking Morant. Good, brother. Very good. It's got 100% rating. Mr. Kimba, put this on your list. You're a movie buff. Got 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But again, it's an obscure film. Not a lot of people have seen it because it was not American made. But some incredible courtroom scenes, some real tense drama. And I think that covers it for my great question, by the way. I think that covers it for my favorite war movies. It's impossible to get it 100% Rotten Tomatoes anymore. I saw Gallipoli. To be honest, the last 10 minutes are great, but I can't really recall. It was kind of a slow epic, but I like the story of Gallipoli, so I'm familiar with the story. But it was hard to get attached to the drama of the film. But to read the story is fantastic. Oh. And you guys know this one. I've seen Das Boot at least 4 times, all the way through. Again, once you start it, you can't turn it off. I never had an issue with reading subtitles. My brother has, and I've had some friends who don't like movies with subtitles. But after 10 minutes, they have a dub version, but don't do the dub version. You're so engrossed within 10 minutes that you don't even realize you're reading subtitles. It's a fantastic film. Run Silent, Run Deep. I have not seen that. I know what you're talking about, though. Nice, Gojo. Very nice. And there's probably 1 or 2 I'm forgetting. I'm scanning the memory of great war films. I'll tell you one that and this is interesting. Hurt Locker and things about the Afghan and Iraq War. There's been some highly awarded films, and I've seen all of them. I have to admit. I saw Hurt Locker again last night, and Kill Bravo 2, Bravo 2, Kill Bravo 2, Bravo 2-0. They're more modern, so they're a little less classic, and they're good, but they're usually about bombs and IEDs. So it's a little. It's usually about soldiers reconnecting with life outside the military. Very good. They have their own place, but it's different from the war movies that I grew up with. So I kind of prefer the World War II and World War One storylines. I think where there's a different vibe to them. Apocalypse Now, fantastic film. I wouldn't really call it a war movie though. More of a drama. Apocalypse Now is just great cinema, I would say. Sergeant York. I have not seen Sergeant York. I know. I know the storyline. Um, American Sniper came out. I saw that. Not very memorable to me, at least. Um, there was a Mel Gibson directed one about another World War II movie where this guy saved a bunch of people, and I did see that. I actually bought it, but I've only watched it once. I can't think of the name. Great movie, but not. Again, it's more about a character, not. It's not really a war movie. Not really an ensemble cast. Saving Private Ryan is up there, sure. Platoon as well, 1986. I've seen Platoon many times. The Big Red One, I've never saw that. To be honest, I've never actually watched Bridge Over River Kwai, but I don't think I want to. I know it's a classic. I know Alec Guinness is in it. I know I should want to watch it, but I just don't want to watch it. I do my cue cards every night to study for these quizzes. Mm. Yeah, I think Cobb's. I think now I've gotten through 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes of Bridge Over River Kwai, and I can't recall. I'm going to do my best to paraphrase, but it seemed like when I was watching it, it didn't seem like a war film. It seemed like it had like an unrealistic British soldier or on a movie set type of vibe, and that's why I was instantly kind of disconnected from that movie. It's been a long time since I saw it, but I like, and I think maybe we're on the same page here, most of us at least, the harsh reality of war. If I'm going to see a war movie, I want it to be about war. I don't want it to be uh, a soft version of war. Zulu, I've tried to watch that, and I've got through most of it. And I appreciate the story. I think the Zulu story is Michael Caine was in that. So I know the story behind it of in Africa, there was like this surrounded British fort that got overwhelmed. I think if I gave it another chance, that would be interesting, but it didn't capture me the first time I saw it. Full Metal Jacket, fantastic, but also not really a war movie, in my opinion. But classic nonetheless. Full Metal Jacket, I put like in a different category. If it's about training camp and boot camp, then it's related, but it's not really a true war film. Speaking of Full Metal Jacket, Vincent D'Onofrio, is out promoting a movie, and he's been doing interviews where he talks about making Full Metal Jacket, some fun facts and shared. I've seen a lot of behind the scenes Lee Army comments and interviews about Full Metal Jacket, so I'm very familiar with the making of it. I'm gonna look for another tobacco here. Let's see what we got in the bag. But somebody mentioned this earlier, and I think it's underappreciated. The Jude Law movie, Enemies at the Gate. You talk about entertainment. That if I turn Enemies on the Gate on, I cannot turn that off. That is just great storytelling, great cinematography, great acting. That is just a fantastic film. Doesn't get the due or the credit that I think it deserves. A lot of great characters, a lot of great acting. Huge fan of Rachel Weisz. Ed Harris was in that. The little boy. The great thing about Enemies at the Gate, the first 10 minutes are just fascinating. Where the Russians have to go out on the field without a gun and pick up a gun from a dead soldier. You know it's a great film if the first 10 minutes just capture your attention. Smoking some Wessex Red Virginia Flake, and it's amazing. I'm jealous, Big Mike. Very jealous. Gojo, I met Vincent D'Onofrio in New York City about 15 years ago. He was in a restaurant. My wife recognized him. Interesting. Yeah, Vincent, very skilled actor. That was the biggest he was ever body-wise, his biggest BMI he was ever at. When he slimmed down, you almost don't recognize him. Vasily. Welcome, Gary. I think the great thing about, I think this is an important point to make. I'm anti-CGI. I don't watch superhero movies. I have really no interest, to be honest. But the great thing about CGI, in my opinion, is that although they haven't done it yet, they will be able to make World War I movies and World War II movies in a way that they never could before. Much more realistic, much more specialized, and be able to tell stories in a way they couldn't before, because it was just too impossible to show big fields of battle and whatnot. But it'd be amazing in the next 5 years if there's a great World War I movie. Everyone knows more about World War II than World War I, mostly because there's been more movies about World War II. Separately, we haven't talked about this. We're talking about war movies. I was thinking in the last century. So Glory, 1989, was fantastic. Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington. I've seen everybody here I know has seen Glory at least 3 times, at least once. I saw Gettysburg at least twice. And one that does not get a lot of mention, but I think is important, is Cold Mountain. Cold Mountain is it's a long movie. It's not really a war film, but there's about a good 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes of battle scenes, and that was really well done. It tells a different side of war, I think, where Emmett goes into the field, gets injured, then retreats from the field. That was a story that has not been told before, not in that way. I'm a huge Jude Law fan, though. I think he's a fantastic actor. Ever since one of my favorite movies is The Talent of Mr. Ripley. Did some amazing work in that film. Hey, good morning, Eric. I actually did not like AI, but I have seen it. Mm. Talent of Mr. Ripley is just, man, there's only a handful of films I saw in the theater more than once. I saw The Talent of Mr. Ripley at least 3 times. When they go into that jazz bar and sing "My Funny Valentine," that used to be on my playlist. It's just that's an intense film. They don't make films like Talented Mr. Ripley anymore. That was almost James Bond-esque. I would almost call The Day After Tomorrow a war film, but a futuristic war film. Oh, Eric, I think the plot is highly plausible. But the cinematography in Talented Mr. Ripley just captured me right away. It made me want to hop in a time machine and go back to the 60s and go to Italy. Going to Italy now wouldn't be the same as going to Italy when that movie was made, or in the scenes where that movie was made. Ooh, mamma mia. Mamma mia. I'm smoking a 50-50 mix, and I mentioned this earlier, of Cornell and Deal's Good Morning with a 50% cut of, what's the English blend you guys peer pressure me into buying? Quiet Nights. So early morning is already good by itself, but when I mixed it with Quiet Nights, it takes on a completely different character. Deep, dark, mysterious, hardy. The sucker's got roots, like deep oak tree roots. Give me a minute while I try to describe this. This is I think I might enjoy Quiet Nights as a mixing blend to accentuate other blends. I think smoking it straight is fine, but I think it can add more and pull out some of the hidden flavors in other tobaccos. But that retro I just had, I felt like I just grabbed onto a big oak tree and just sunk down 30 meters below the ground and got to the foundation of its strength. That's how robust it was. In a Virginia centric type of way, though, not in a Latakia centric way. Ah, that was a good moment. Amir, I'm not a fan of war or action films. Does anybody like Woody Allen films? Amir, I'll touch on that in a second. We're warmongering at this point. Um, Gojo, this is a mix of, as I just mentioned, 50-50 Quiet Nights and Good Good Morning by Cornell and Deal. Mm, that's a good mix right there. That's a fantastic mix. I usually don't mix tobaccos anymore. By God, that is fantastic. Sometimes you experiment and you come up with a great recipe. And that's what happened just by chance this evening. It was a monster mash. He smoked it in a flash. Mm. Because I buy a lot of 8-ounce tins, when I empty out a regular tin, this is my carry tin. So I'll keep an empty tin and then take 2-ounce tins, and sometimes I'll put tobacco number 1 in it, and when it's running low, instead of dumping it or smoking the rest of it, I'll just go ahead and top it off with tobacco number 2. So inevitably, I'm walking around with some hybrid blends when the first one gets low. So I don't really mix on purpose. It's kind of, I mix by convenience. Mm. Golden slices. Golden slices. Golden slices. I'm not sure what that is. I would add anything to RLP6. If you add anything to RLP6, it's probably going to get better. There's enough Cavendish in RLP6, but oh, Oregon golden slices. Okay, wow, that's a weird mix. Mmm. Oh, Cobbs, you got to get you some of that, brother. Oregon golden slice is such an extreme taste. It's hard for me to think of mixing anything with that. Golden slices is Orlick, not Lane, but That's such an extreme flavor. Topped. So I did have a tin. I bought a tin last summer. I enjoyed it. I liked it. But it is topped. I found out after many a bowl. I think I prefer if you like golden slice. Oh, like golden slice. I think you made it plural. That's what threw me off. I think it's slice. But anyway, um, Solani Virginia flake, I think, is cream of the crop. Superior to Orlik, in my opinion. A different animal. They're a little bit apples and oranges, but no topping on the Solani stuff. That's a damn fine tobacco. Hmm. It is plural. Okay. Six three three. Yes. 633 is super fantastic. As Borat would say, it is number one tobacco in America, in my opinion. By God, this is amazing. Oh, retrohale. So slow coming out. And then at the very end, just like a little bit of burn. But some folks think that only Perique burns in a retrohale, but that's not true. I can get a no. To be fair, there are some tobaccos with a retrohale. I don't get anything out of it, not really. But I've had straight Virginias that have a real accentuation of the flavors through retrohale. I've had Englishes that do, and then sometimes it's a great flavor with no burn, and then sometimes it's a great flavor with a burn. And in this case, it's a great flavor with a burn. I got like that little horseradish, like you're almost gonna cry type of thing. Jesus, I need to mix this at home and brand it, and resell it. Oh, whew. Oh, the Ronaldo is in the kitchen. She's tired right now. She's taking a sleep. This is the Boswell though. Yeah. David, you went to the dark side. I often do, and are smoking Latakia. What happened? I'm not proud, but I'm choking it up to peer pressure, Eric. When you're bombarded with, hey, you should buy this. Hey, you should smoke that. Hey, this is amazing. Eventually, I'm a man of strong will, but eventually you give in, and you're like, you start doubting yourself, and you're like, maybe I don't hate English as much as I thought I did. And that's what happened to me. Sometimes peer pressure is a good thing. Sometimes it makes you try things that you otherwise wouldn't, or retry things that you otherwise wouldn't. I am having kind of a magic carpet ride experience right now. That's beautiful. That is just beautiful. Gojo, I'm primarily smoked English for 30 years. More power to you, brother. I would need some variety. I always need variety. Highly suggestible when it comes to back your recommendations. As am I. I didn't think I was, but apparently I am. Geary, Oriental forward by far, by a long shot. I'm an Oriental fiend. Hmm. It's funny. It's funny talking about English in Latakia. I'll just say Latakia instead. Um, it's so funny how people get so attracted to it, including myself at the beginning. It does seem very divisive, though. There are people who love it, people who hate it, and you almost have to be in the right mindset to smoke Latakia. And again, I've said it many times before. I'll say it. I'll say it again. I just went too heavy, too early in my smoking career, and smoked too much of it, and I got tired of it. Which is odd because that's never happened before in any other thing. I've never dived deep into some flavor profile of food or drink or smoke and got overwhelmed by it. But that's what makes us human. We all have our interesting journeys and flavor profiles. Good story, Cobbs. Ooh, we got some Sade going on here. My folks are Italian and they mostly smoked English out of old beat up Italian briars. Nothing wrong with that. For my 16th birthday, my father got me a basket bulldog and a half-pound of stock English from Tinder. Whoa! That's a hell of a birthday present. Ah, the cigar smokers that I know still have a problem with retrohaling slowly. There's a couple cigar smokers I know that I see regularly, and I guess the point of my story is, of all you guys here, does anyone not retrohale? Because I was amazed by, I thought when you start smoking, you don't really do it. It seems it happens occasionally, although you can't control it. And then after a while, sometimes it takes 6 months, sometimes it takes a couple years. But eventually, most people, not everybody, can control the retrohale and force it to happen. But I know a couple cigar smokers that have been smoking cigars for years and still don't retrohale because they think it burns. And I'm like, you're leaving a lot of flavor like on the table. And so for those of you who can't, I'm always interested in, I think inevitably you do casually, you just don't know it because you're not thinking about it. You just exhale and smoke comes out your nose occasionally. But it's, in hindsight, in my opinion, it's like 30% of the entire experience. Sometimes 50% based on the tobacco. But and especially if you can do it so slowly and just let the smoke come out your nose under control very slowly, so you're not forcing it out. It's to me at this point in smoking, it's the thing that I look for. Cobbs, I can't not retro. I agree. It takes effort to stop retros for me. I agree with that. Eric, I finally cracked the 8-ounce tin of Rosh's Court. Bought last summer. Pretty good stuff. I never steer you wrong, brother. Snakes. I met a guy the other day who's been smoking a pipe forever and he can't retrail. Again, I think everyone does. He probably can't do it on command, but inevitably it has to happen. Gojo Rajas is very good. I highly recommend that. I'm sure Eric will as well. Big Mike, you nailed it, brother. Mustiness, or as I would call it when I'm smoking Oriental blends, like a sourness. And by sour, I don't mean sour like vinegar, like musty, sour, like a sour cream type of sour. Sour cream is not literally sour, but it has a little bit of hint of sourness in it. And that's the, it's hard to describe to people who don't smoke or people who are new to smoking, but that musty sourness is actually highly enjoyable. And that's exactly what I get from retrohaling. It sounds bad, but it's really good. Never had truffles, not real truffles. I'm not counting truffle chocolates. The funny thing is, I'm not a big sour cream fan, but that's the closest I can describe it. And on that note, boys, I'm going to call it a night. Got an early morning tomorrow, so thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Take care.